There is literally nothing like a really good iced coffee. Hello everyone, and welcome to my very first YouTube video. My name is Tiffany. I go by Spellbound Tiff. I am a very small content creator on TikTok. Silent moment for TikTok, crying, screaming, throwing up, all that good stuff. I am also on Instagram. I have a Goodreads. I have pretty much like every social media that you could possibly think of, but I'm very heavy on Instagram and TikTok. Today, I want to go over a little something called a TBR. TBRs are also known as to be reads. They're books that you buy and you just haven't read it yet. Me, I have a lot of those. In 2024, I started reading a little bit more. I used to read when I was younger and then I just kind of fell off of reading. And then I fell in love with reading again. And I think fell in love is a little bit of an understatement. I kind of got a little obsessed. But I love these stories. I love these stories so much that I couldn't stop wanting to have these stories so that way I can read them if I wanted to. It kind of caused an issue because now I have a TBR the size of a mountain. Quite literally, I could probably stack them up to my ceiling. Now, that doesn't go to say that I don't read. I do read. I listen to audiobooks, which is counted as reading. I don't want to hear that argument. And I also read on my Kindle. So a lot of the books that I have read, I don't have physically. The only time I would have it physically is if it was like a 6-star read for me, and I absolutely love it so much with everything in my soul. But I've read them, so they're not counted as a TBR. I am going to show you guys all of the books that I have on my TBR, and pretty much my goal for 2025 is to just get through all of those books. I want to try to lower down the amount of books that I have on my TBR because I want to read them. There's a reason why I bought these books. I want to get through them. A lot of these books were gifted to me, and a lot of these books I kind of just bought on a drunken whim. Drinking and buying books is not a good combination, especially for someone who loves to read. Just don't do it. You'll spend way too much money. And then the next day you'll look at your bookshelf and you'll be like, why the heck do I have this book? Yeah, that happened to me. But since we're talking about a TBR and I have no self-control whatsoever, I went to Target. Yes, I went and bought more books today, just now. Why, you ask? That's a really good question. I have no idea. They're gonna be added to my TBR, So without further ado, let's get into it. So back in November, I set a goal for myself for 2025 to go through all of my books on my TBR. I wrote every single book that I had on my TBR at that moment and put them in a jar. A cup, it's like this little cup thing that I had. It came with a tiny spoon. It was really cute. I think it was like for sugar or something. Anyways, I wrote every single book that I had not read, put it into this jar, and I told myself that anytime that I felt the need to buy a book or want to read something that I just wasn't sure, I would pick a book from the jar. I present to you the jar. Cute. It's cute, isn't it? It's got a little pineapple on it. Very cute. But it's got a lot of books in it. I kind of forgot about this, not gonna lie. Left it on my TBR cart, which by the way, I don't even have books on there. I have vinyl records on there. That's besides the point. The point of this video is to just let people know that if you have a TBR the size of Mount Everest and you feel embarrassed or you feel ashamed or I don't know, whatever, you're not alone. Okay, so the first one that we have is, drumroll please, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This one I got because I don't even know why I got it. This is what I'm talking about. I have these books and like, I can't even explain to you why I got it. Sometimes I impulse buy. Like, I love the ambiance of bookstores because of how calming and relaxing it is, and everyone's there for the same reason, because their love of reading and their love of books. In my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go, to a bookstore and just walk around and just enjoy the ambiance, maybe sit in the cafe and read a little bit. Nope, nope, no. I buy books. This is an example, and you're gonna see a lot of those. Shatter Me. Actually, I don't even think that this is considered to be on this list because I did start Shatter Me and I am almost done with it, actually. I think I'm about 70% of the way through, and I like it a lot. The reason why I got this book was because I kept seeing pictures of Warner, who is the guy in Shatter Me, and I don't know. Who doesn't love a bleach blonde MMC? I do. I love blonde MMCs. I mean, don't get me wrong. Them dark-haired MMCs are... But I mean, a blonde one kind of hits different. The next one is Bridge Kingdom. I bought this book a month ago, almost 2, and it was because it was 50% off. So I bought the Bridge Kingdom and the book that came after the Bridge Kingdom, which I can't remember the name of, but I'm sure I'm gonna pull it from there. But I actually started listening to the audiobook for this one, but then I don't know why I stopped. We're just gonna move on from that. I dropped one. I treat these papers as if they're really the book. Okay, beach read. I got this book because I had seen a video of someone on TikTok who liked this so much that they bought the special edition version of this book. Her name is Jolene, and I have been following her since I kind of started. Some of the books that she reads when she reviews them makes me want to read them more. So this was one of them. Okay, A Feather So Black. So when I started my reading journey, I kind of went on a binge and just bought a bunch of books that sounded good just based off of the blurb on the back, and this one was one of them. So when I first got my bookshelf, this is one of the OGs that I had on there, and I've had this for a long time and I still have not yet to read it. You know how sometimes you see a book cover and it's just the prettiest thing you've ever seen in your entire life, and you have no idea what it's about, but you really just want it because of how pretty it is? Guild is that book. And I'm not going to lie, this will not be the last time I say that I got it because it was pretty. I heard it was great, and I know people love this book very much, the whole series actually. I haven't picked it up ever. I honestly think that it's because it's a hardcover, and I've come to realize that I don't like hardcover books. So this is probably one of those ones where I have to read it on my Kindle because of the fact that it's a hardcover. I had to move my angle. 1, because my ring light died. 2, because the lighting is just too aggressive behind me. And 3, I'm currently charging my ring light against my computer, which is behind. The cord isn't long enough for where I actually had it set up, so we moved. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled program. Twisted Games. I read this. That's how you know it's I haven't touched this in so long. I read this. Okay, Caravel. I got a special edition version, and I was like, I want to read this. I want to read this really bad. The cover is really pretty. The book is really pretty. I love it. But I don't know if you've ever tried to actually read a special edition, especially one where the pages are so sleek and the design of the pages are just so pretty. I can't read a book that is that pretty. I feel like I'm going to damage it. Not saying that I ruin books when I read, but I do like to tab when I read or annotate, especially with fantasy books. I like to annotate, and I don't want to annotate that because it's a special edition, and I'm not gonna lie, that's the only reason I haven't gotten it. I could get a paperback version of that book, but why would I get 2 books unless I really, really like the book? Maybe I'm just waiting for it to be on Kindle Unlimited. Maybe it is on Kindle Unlimited. Okay, yours truly. This is another Abby Jimenez book, and I got this book and I don't know why. Now that I think about it, I got this book because I had just read an Emily Henry book and I loved it, and it was The Happy Place, And I was like, I want more books that are like this. So I looked up contemporary romance books that are like Happy Place by Emily Henry, and Abby Jimenez came up, and I think I just went on a binge and bought a whole bunch of Abby Jimenez books. Okay, Mistborn. So this was a gift from my boyfriend, and he got a recommendation from one of my close friends that also loves to read. He loves Brandon Sanderson. So he told him to buy me a Brandon Sanderson book, even though I've never read a Brandon Sanderson book. Jeez, that's a name to say. I know that he writes amazing stories because of how much people love his stories, and I know that I love fantasy, and I do love the fantasy aspect when it comes to the books that I read. I just have a strong feeling I might like this a lot, but I just never got around to reading it. Also, I know that this is the first book of the series, and I don't know if I'm ready to start a series yet, because lately I've just been reading a lot of standalones, and that's just because the last series that I read was Iron Flame, and I'm waiting for Onyx Storm to come out, and I just don't want to start another one until I read that. The Infatuated Fae series is an exception though. As soon as that book comes out, I'm getting it, and I'm reading it, and I will cry. A Crown of Ivy and Glass. I got this book off of Book Outlet because I had just discovered that website, and I was just browsing, and I think I bought at least like 6 books from that website in that one motion. So the next one we have is River Enchanted. This one is by Rebecca Ross, and I really, really, really loved Divine Rivals. I read that book in one sitting and immediately left, went to the store, and got Ruthless Vows. I don't know what it was, but it was just, so good, so good, so good. That was my very first ever YA book, and I just fell in love. I fell in love. So, because I fell in love so deeply with this book, and I loved the way Rebecca Ross wrote everything out, the way that she detailed the characters, the dialogue, the world building, just everything about it was just perfect to me. I went ahead and I got A River Enchanted because I needed more Rebecca Ross. And I bought this and then never picked it up. Okay, Immortal Longings. This one is another book that I got from Book Outlet. I know nothing about the book, literally. I read the blurb and was like, wow, this sounds really interesting and I really want to read this. Bought it, got super excited when I saw it, never picked it up again. Fall of Ruin and Wrath. This one I got solely because of a book talker. Her name is Mercedes. I love her so much. If you don't know who Mercedes is and you don't follow her, please follow her on literally everything. She has a YouTube, she's got Instagram, she has TikTok. She's got everything. She's amazing. I love her. She's so funny. She's so real and down to earth. She reviewed this book and she made it sound so good and so amazing and so like me to my core that I bought it. Us in Ruin. This one I got recently. I think I got it about 2 months ago, the same time when I got Bridge Kingdom. And I had only seen one video on this book. The girl that was reviewing it said that it was like Indiana Jones, but with romance. I think she referenced it to, like, she kind of said, if you like Divine Rivals, then you would like Us in Ruin. And I love Divine Rivals. Loved it. So I was like, oh my God. And also the cover is just so freaking gorgeous. There's something about that cover that just makes me like want to sob. It's just so good. It's a beautiful cover. So I got it. Unfortunately, they only had a hardcover, but I had to get it because I couldn't find it anywhere else. And yeah. So I have Tress of the Emerald Sea. So this one is a Brandon Sanderson book, which I did buy on my own accord, but I bought it because my friend recommended Brandon Sanderson for me. This one I got solely because Brandon Sanderson wrote this for his wife, and I find that very romantic and very sweet. And the blurb on the back made it seem like it was very nice type of fantasy book, like one that's a little bit more, I don't know if it's romantic or not, but I romanticized the book. Yeah, I have it, but I haven't read it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know where these are landing, so I'm gonna find out when I edit this. Okay, so I have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is the same reason as why I got all of those Abby Jimenez books. I read Happy Place, fell in love with Emily Henry's writing, and I got this. House of Beating Wings. This was one of those books that I bought early on when I had like a weird obsession with buying books. Same with A Feather So Black. I bought this in that same transaction and just haven't read it. I actually have been seeing this, cycle around again on my book talk and my Instagram. And so I feel like I'm leaning a little bit more towards wanting to read this now. And what's great is that it's circling through social media and I don't have to go and buy it because I already have it. There's a helicopter flying around my house. Okay, it's gone. We're down to the last like 5. I may or may not have dropped them all on the floor. Oh, only 4. I lied. 5. There's another one. Light Lark. I know how people feel about this book, and especially because she just came out with like the 3rd book in the series. I bought this so long ago and I was like, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna read it and then I'm gonna, whatever. Never read it, but this is another one of those books that I'm leaning towards wanting to read. Crave. So a couple months ago, I went to a book fest and I bought this. Tracy Wolf was there and she was speaking at the festival, and I did sit and get to listen to her speak and talk about her books, her upcoming books and all that good stuff. But she talked about it and it sounded really good at the time, so I literally just bought it. I'm missing a lot of these throws here. The Ever King. Okay, listen, I got this book because I had seen on TikTok about some girl who they were doing this like reading challenge. It was her and her friend, and one of the questions was like, what's the spiciest book that you've read? And someone said The Ever King, and I bought it. And it's a fantasy, so like, who doesn't love a smutty fantasy? Sweet Nightmare, same exact story for Crave. That's it. King of Wrath. This one is by Anna Wong, which I love the Twisted series. So I bought this because she's the author. Yeah, I haven't read it. And I heard that the King series or whatever it's called is really good. So I got it. And yeah, here I am not reading it. So I think it's safe to say that the books that I have on my TBR really, it shows a lot about me as a person. And that is, I don't know when to not buy books. It's a little weird because lately I've been reading a lot of like fan fiction, which honestly, I blame the person that told me to read Manacled. I don't know who you are. You had commented on one of my videos and told me to read it. I read it, and now it's just in my brain forever. Forever. I can't, it's my Roman Empire. I can't stop thinking about it. Just everything is about Dramini. So the moral of the story is, it's okay if you have a very large TBR. We're just gonna keep adding to it anyways. So as this being my very first YouTube video, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for taking your time to just look at me embarrass myself with the amount of books that I have that I haven't even read. And for upcoming videos, I'm going to do some reviews, do suggestions, books in certain genres that I have read, and books that I either liked or didn't like, but I am still going to talk about them because there's a book out there for everyone. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to start my YouTube journey. This is my first ever official YouTube video. as just me. I'm really excited to kind of just see where it goes. Yeah, so I'm gonna go and clean up this mess here and probably not read a book from my TBR. No, I have to do that. I'm gonna do it. Keep me on it. But yeah, okay. Bye guys, love you.